today we are going to make this wonderful bag I have here. This bag is made out of this lovely kookaburra fabric I have chosen. This bag is special because it only has one handle. I have put in a button and an inner bag, but they are optional. Let's start. I have put the measurement details of the fabric in the description below. We will be needing 2 outer fabric, 2 lining fabric, 1 inner bag fabric, and 1 handle piece. We will now be starting with our handle piece. For the handle piece, we will be needing to fold it in half, and then we're going to open it up again, and then we're going to fold it towards the midline we had just made, and then we're going to fold these together. I recommend you to iron it, and then we're going to sew all around. Now I had just finished ironing it. Now we are going to sew all around it. Now I had just finished sewing over here, this area. Now we are going to put our handle aside and we are going to work on our inner bag. I forgot to mention this earlier, but remember that the inner bag fabric should be the same with the lining fabric or it will look a bit odd. For the inner bag, it is not very hard. All we have to do is fold it in half, and we are going to sew all around it, leaving a gap on the longer side, which has the opening, so that we will turn it inside out. Remember to have 1 centimeter of seam allowance. Now we have just finished sewing all around it. We will just need it to finish cutting off the corners and we will turn it. Now we have finished turning it inside out. All we now have to do is poke out the corners and give it a press. Now we have just finished giving our inner bag a press. We are now going to measure 8 centimeters starting from the top of one of our inner lining fabric, and we are going to sew it. Make sure one side, the side that is 8 centimeters from it, is not sewed, because this is going to be the area we're gonna make our inner bag, or else you can't slot anything in. Now we have finished making our inner bag. We are now going to put it aside and we are going to make our bag. Now we are going to start working on the wrong side of our fabric. We are going to place them front side to front side, and then we're going to cut 5 centimeter squares on both sheets of fabric so that we may box them. Now we are going to cut it as we have drawn the 5 centimeters times 5 centimeter squares on both button corners. Now we have finished drawing the 5 centimeters times 5 centimeter squares on both buttons corners. We are now going to cut it and be sure to clip it first to make sure you do not waste any fabric. Now we have finished cutting out these squares. We are now going to sew a 1 centimeter seam allowance this side, and this side. Now we are going to iron open the seam allowance right after we finish sewing the 3 sides. Make sure that that is done for all 3 sides. Now we have finished ironing out the seam allowance. We are now going to open the little flap up, and we are going to sew over here, this area you see. We're going to sew this area. Do the exact same to the other side. Now I have pinned this area you see. We will be sewing this area over here with a centimeter of seam allowance. We have now just finished doing an action called boxing the corners. You may see here, see? The corners are boxed. Now we are going to work on our lining. The exact same needs to be done to the lining with no changes. Now we are going to work on our lining fabric. We are going to cover the little pouch we made earlier with the other piece of fabric, and we are going to sew it, and remember to cut the 5 centimeters and 5 centimeters square on both sides. And we are going to sew this side, and then this side. But now there's a difference. Over here, we are going to leave at least 6 centimeters gap so that we may turn it later. And don't forget to box the corners as well. Now we are going to box the corners. Remember to do it for both sides. Now we have just finished boxing the corner of our lining. We are now going to attach the handles. In order to do that, we are going to turn it inside out. I have now finished turning it inside out. Make sure that the little hole here is still there that we put in earlier. We have the little pouch shape for reference. Now we are going to attach the handle. So in order to do that, we are going to have a little bit of the handle folded. And then we are going to align the center line with the line on the back. And then we are going to sew this area. And then we are going to make something like this U shape. And then we're going to do the exact same to the other side. Now we are going to attach the handle. Now we are going to assemble the bag. We are going to get our little lining fabric And then we are going to slot it into our outer fabric, and then we are going to tuck the handle inside our lining fabric, and we're going to sew all around with no gaps or spaces. After you have clipped and pinned the edges, it is time to sew. Now we have just finished sewing all around it. Remember the little hole we made earlier? We are now going to use that hole to turn it inside out. Now we have finished turning it inside out. Before you slot the lining into the outer fabric, I need to remind you to sew this little hole. We had just finished sewing the teeny hole on our lining. Congratulations! Well, almost congratulations, because there's one final step. Over here, we're needed to put this handle in for a moment, and then we're going to iron this edge neatly, and then we're going to take our handle out and sew around the edge. Now we are up to our last step. We are going to sew closer to the edge all around the bag once. Congratulations! You have just finished making a lovely bag. I'm now going to put my little stuffed toy into it. Over here it still fits, see? And it can still breathe. I hope you enjoyed this sewing tutorial and enjoyed sewing the lovely bag.